Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most intense and surprising developments in modern warfare. Ukraine has launched a deep strike that sent shockwaves directly into the heart of Russia, Moscow. This operation, now being referred to as Operation Firestorm, has raised serious questions about the future of the war and the strength of Russia's defenses. How did Ukraine manage this? Why was Moscow caught off guard? And what does this mean for Vladimir Putin and his leadership? Let's break everything down in detail, step by step, so you can fully understand the magnitude of what just happened. For months, Ukraine has been steadily evolving its military strategy, shifting from routine frontline defense to high-precision long-range offensive strikes. While Russia believed that its capital was heavily fortified and untouchable, Ukraine had been quietly developing advanced drone technology, coordinating intelligence with Western partners, and expanding the range of its missile capabilities. The deep strike wasn't a random attack. It was a carefully planned and coordinated operation targeting multiple high-value sites near or around Moscow. This included military infrastructure, fuel depots, logistics hubs, and even communication centers used by Russian command. The most shocking part is that several of these strikes bypassed or overwhelmed Russia's air defense systems, which were believed to be among the most sophisticated in the world. Suddenly, the illusion of safety in Moscow was shattered. The psychological impact alone was massive. For the first time, ordinary Russian citizens heard explosions near the capital and saw plumes of smoke rising in areas that were previously considered secure. Panic began to spread on social media as videos circulated showing air defense systems firing into the night sky, failing to stop every incoming target. This raised a critical question. If Ukraine can reach Moscow, where else can they hit? Russian state media tried to downplay the damage, but images from eyewitnesses told a different story. It's clear that Russia wasn't expecting Ukraine to take the war this deep. This wasn't just a battlefield clash. This was a strategic message. Ukraine can take the fight anywhere. Military analysts are calling this a turning point because Ukraine didn't just launch one strike. It launched a wave of coordinated attacks. This demonstrated not only capability but also intelligence dominance. Ukraine had precise information about Russia's defenses and used advanced tactics to confuse radar systems, overwhelm anti-missile batteries, and strike at the perfect time. It's believed that Ukraine used a combination of long-range drones, modified Soviet-era missiles, and possibly even Western-supplied systems. The name Operation Firestorm comes from both the scale of the attacks and the chaos they caused. Reports suggest multiple fires erupted across several facilities, costing Russia millions in damage and forcing emergency evacuations. The symbolism is powerful. Ukraine showed the world that Russia's strength is not invincible. This has put enormous pressure on Vladimir Putin. For years, he claimed that Russia was fully in control, that Moscow was protected, and that the war had no impact on everyday life inside the country. But now, with explosions near the capital, the narrative is collapsing. Russian citizens are asking how this could happen. Opposition voices are questioning the competency of the military command. Even some pro-Kremlin voices are demanding stronger action. Putin now faces a dilemma. He can't ignore what happened, but responding recklessly could escalate the war even further, possibly bringing NATO closer to direct involvement. Some analysts believe that Putin may fire certain military officials as a way to show strength. But this won't fix the core problem. Ukraine has changed the game. Let's talk about the strategic implications. This deep strike forces Russia to redirect resources. Instead of focusing entirely on the front lines in eastern and southern Ukraine, Russia is now scrambling to reinforce air defenses around key cities. This spreads their forces thin and creates openings for Ukraine to push forward on the battlefield. It also disrupts logistics. If fuel depots and command centers near Moscow are vulnerable, then supply chains across the country are at risk. This means slower responses, weaker coordination, and more confusion inside the Russian military hierarchy. Every successful Ukrainian strike reduces Russia's ability to operate efficiently. And the deeper Ukraine can strike, the more unstable Russia's war machine becomes. Now, how did Ukraine pull this off technically? Over the past year, Ukraine has focused heavily on innovation. They've partnered with private tech companies to build long-range drones capable of flying hundreds of kilometers. They've upgraded targeting software using AI. They've learned from each previous strike, adjusting their strategies to bypass radar and anti-air systems. They've also received better intelligence from satellites and surveillance aircraft operated by Western allies. Every piece of this puzzle came together in Operation Firestorm. Ukraine didn't need to match Russia in quantity. They used precision and timing to deliver maximum impact with minimal resources. It's the definition of modern warfare: smart, fast, and unpredictable. Western nations are watching closely. Many believed Ukraine wouldn't risk striking so deep inside Russia, fearing global escalation. But now that it has happened, the response is changing. Some Western officials are impressed by Ukraine's effectiveness and are considering providing even more powerful long-range weapons. Others are cautious, worried that if Ukraine continues these strikes, Putin could retaliate in extreme ways. But one thing is clear: the myth of Russian invulnerability has been broken. This could lead to new political negotiations or push Russia toward more aggressive actions. It all depends on how Putin reacts in the coming weeks. Let's look at the domestic consequences inside Russia. Ordinary citizens who once ignored the war are now scared. When they see explosions near Moscow, they realize the conflict is no longer distant. Social media is flooded with questions. Why weren't we protected? What else is Ukraine capable of? Is the government hiding the truth? Even though Russian state media is trying to maintain control of the story, the internet makes it impossible to hide everything. This growing fear could lead to public unrest or increased pressure on the government to end the war. Putin has built his power on the promise of stability, but now that stability is visibly cracking. Meanwhile, morale in Ukraine has skyrocketed. After months of slow progress on the battlefield, this deep strike has energized the population. It proves that Ukraine can outthink and outmaneuver a larger opponent. It sends a message to Ukrainian soldiers that their efforts are making a difference. It also tells the world that supporting Ukraine is not a lost cause. In fact, this operation could inspire more international aid and diplomatic backing. Countries that were hesitant may now reconsider, seeing that Ukraine has the potential to win strategically even without massive territorial gains. So, what happens next? Military experts believe Ukraine won't stop here. This was likely just the beginning of a series of deep strikes. If Russia cannot secure its airspace, more key infrastructure may be targeted. On the other hand, Russia may attempt to retaliate with heavier missile attacks on Ukrainian cities. The risk of escalation is very real, but Ukraine has already shown that it can adapt quickly and respond effectively. The war is entering a new phase, one where distance no longer equals safety. Every move now carries higher stakes for both sides. In the end, Operation Firestorm has changed the perception of this war on a global scale. It showed that determination, intelligence, and modern technology can challenge even a military superpower. It exposed the weaknesses of Russian defenses, put Putin under intense pressure, and boosted Ukrainian confidence. Whether this leads to breakthrough negotiations or further escalation remains to be seen. But one thing is undeniable: Moscow has been shaken, and the world is paying attention like never before. If Ukraine continues to strike deep, the future of this conflict could shift dramatically. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. There's a lot more to analyze, and we'll keep you updated on every major development. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.